when we look at the world of dog training, a lot of people misunderstand dog training and they misunderstand what it is all really about. And with today's masterclass, I want to bring to you how simple dog training is, how easy it is to train a dog, all the obstacles that used to stand in your way when it came to training, how easy they are going to be to remove. So let's start with our session. So the first thing we're going to look at when we look at dog training is how does a dog learn? And this is very important because, dogs are different creatures from us. They're different animals. And the way we learn is very different from the way dogs learn. And the three things you need to keep in mind when we look at how a dog would learn would be the rewards, the timing, and the repetitions. And let's take a look at each of these individually. So when we look at the word rewards, what can a reward be for a dog? And this is important for you to keep in mind. A reward can be various things. It can be toys, it can be your touch and your praise, it can be fun experiences, it can be food, it can be games. And I would say the most important reward here is you. You are the biggest reward for your dog. And when we talk about food and toys, we will learn how to use them in a smarter way when we come to dog training. Let's forward. Okay. Second, we're stuck here because there are some people in the waiting room. Okay. We move forward where I'll shut my screen so you can now take a better focus on the video you see at hand. Okay. So when we talk about rewards, you can't just say, oh, I'm using food as a reward. You can't just say, I'm using toys as a reward. What I want you to keep in mind. Okay, can you all hear me better now? Is this better? Yeah, good. Okay. So I brought the computer closer and now we can set better. All right. So when we talk about rewards, okay, I know most people use food or toys as a reward. This is one thing I want to clarify with you. Shruti, you'll see somebody very familiar in this video here. Yeah. Okay. So what I want to teach you is this. The food and the toys are not the reward. They are just facilitating to the ultimate reward, which will be you. You are the biggest reward for your dog. Guys, you'll have to keep that in mind. It's not food, it's not toys. You can use food and toys to build to that reward, which is you. But if you rely only on food and toys, you will notice at some point in time, it may not work for you when you really need it to work. So you've got to give that part a good thought. So how do we work with this? The first thing you keep in mind is, remember, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about the rewards. We're going to talk about the timings. But the first thing is you first test the reward on the dog. It must be something that the dog wants. So how do we do that? Take a look at this video. This is my student Shruti, and she's playing with a dog to test whether the dog wants to play with this toy. And let me know in the comments what results you're seeing from this. So what did you all see here? Put it in the comment box. Okay. So what you saw here is that the dog does not want this toy. So the dog doesn't want to play with this toy at all. And therefore, this toy cannot be termed as a reward for this dog. That is very important. So before we use any treats or toys, you must first ask the dog, do you want to eat this? Do you want to play with this? And then based on that, we can decide whether to use this as a reward for the dog or not. Okay. Next, what is very important now for us to know is timing. And that is super, super important. So what we're going to look at is this. Now, when you reward a dog, remember, a dog is not like a human being. If I was to reward you for a behavior, I would say to, okay, if you do well in your exam today, after you come home, I will give you a piece of chocolate. That could be then a reward for you. Human beings can understand the past and the future as such. For a dog to connect a reward or a punisher to an act, it must come at the time of the act. Otherwise, the dog is not going to connect it. And that is very important for you to know. A lot of people get this wrong by rewarding the dog after the act is done. And what do I mean by happening at the same time? Literally within 2 seconds of the behavior, you must either reward, or if you want to scold your dog, then that's what you're going to do. But it's going to come at that point and time. That is very important to know. So watch this little video. I'm training this little puppy on a trainer course. And you'd see, I withhold the food till I get the puppy into the position I want. And as soon as the puppy is in that position, you'll notice I smile, I pat, I praise, and I give the food to the puppy. And that, you'll see, comes virtually as soon as the puppy does the behavior for me. So watch this clip. Okay, so watch here. As soon as the puppy does my behavior, you reward at that particular time. So if you saw, there were 2 moments here that I showed. I'm going to repeat it. The first is where the dog carries out the behavior, but I missed that moment and I've not rewarded the dog at that time. So I missed that moment as such. So there's no point rewarding the dog after that is done. So now I repeat it and I reward at that particular time. This is very important, especially, when we're training dogs. I've noticed when people train, they call their dog, then the dog comes, then they first answer a message on their phone, then they put the phone down, then they take a treat and give it to the dog, by which time a good 30 seconds have passed. The dog will not then connect that treat to the act of coming. If you want to do that, then you have to give the treat within 2 seconds of the dog coming to you. That is very, very important for you to keep in mind. It must come then and there. Now take a look at this clip. You'll see now they're using a reward to demonstrate to the dog, asking the dog to do different things. And at the end of it, you'll notice the dog gets rewarded for a completely different behavior from what they want to build. So what you see, a lot of the videos here you will see are of my trainer courses. These are courses I run for people who want to take up dog training professionally. And interestingly, for many of you to know, this year we've actually opened it up to people even who don't want to do it professionally. So, rather than do the whole long course, we've allowed people to just come for the practicals. So if you did join or you already have signed up, you'll see that these practice sessions that you see on the course in the videos here are commonly what you'll be doing on our courses as well. So take a look at this and you tell me in the comment section, what do you see happening here?
Number 6. Good boy. Number down. What a good boy. Number stand. Good boy. Number catch. Good boy.
Okay, so here you saw they asked for a sit, they asked for a down, they asked for the stand, all the behaviors that they had to practice for their upcoming test, which they had the next day. But then you see at the end of it, Gabbar, who's the dog, got it for catch. So what is he going to think? You think about this. In his mind tomorrow, when he comes for the practicals, is he going to say the sit was rewarded, the down was rewarded? No, he's just going to say the catch behavior was rewarded. Can you see how a dog would learn? I see a lot of people when they call their dogs, they say, come, then they say, sit, and then they say, good dog, and give the dog a treat. What does the dog think he's being rewarded for? Not the act of coming, but the sit behavior. You see, the dog is only going to connect the reward with what he did 2 seconds ago. And that's important for you to keep an eye out for. So here, what is happening, the dog's catch command is becoming stronger and better. And a sit down and stand over a period of time will actually start to become weaker. You've got to keep in mind when we give out rewards, it's got to be at that point in time. So, a lot of people, because they do this wrong, they end up then telling me, oh, my dog doesn't listen. Oh, my dog doesn't do it this way. My dog listens only here or there. If you've gone through today's session, and I urge you to stay till the end because there's a lot of interesting information coming up, you will see that a lot of the mistakes are those that we might be making. Not knowingly, of course, but still, it's mistakes we might be making, and we need to clarify those. Now, another thing that is very important, okay, when we train our dogs is do not just give the dog the food or the toy. Do not do that. You first must smile, then you must praise. So you can say, good girl, good boy. You must touch. Now, when I say touch, it's got to be a touch that the dog likes. Okay, so some dogs don't like to be touched on their head. So for those dogs, please don't touch on the head. You want the touch to be seen as something pleasant by the dog. And why do we do these steps? This is a little secret from professional dog trainers that you're going to get. You do this to connect in the dog's brain you to the reward, your smile, your praise, your touch, and then comes the food. Your smile, your praise, your touch, then comes the toy. So what do you think with repetition your dog is going to make a connection in his brain about? He's going to say, she and her being pleasant is connected to the current ultimate reward, which is the food. And if you repeat this carefully every single time, and I'll show you this video in a second, if you repeat this every single time, what you will see is eventually you will become a bigger reward than the food or the toy. And this is the secret on how to do it. People ask me, oh, he won't listen if there's not food. He doesn't love me. He only loves food. Well, who taught him that? It was us. We taught him it's food that you get. I am of no consequence in your life. So here's what you're going to see. Watch this. So I call her. It's my dog Maya. And when she comes, she gets the touch. She's being verbally praised. And I'm smiling at the same time. So here is the thing. Of course, here I've not followed it up with food or toy because we've got to the point. You see how much she enjoys that. I'll tell you one thing, guys. When you do it this way, you as a reward become way more powerful. You down the road may not even need a food or a toy. And if you use a toy, it'll be for the game that you bring out for the dog. The toy on its own should not be the reward. The game that you play with the toy, that is the big reward. So I want you to start thinking a little differently from now on. When our dogs do something, what we do, throw a piece of food, throw a toy for them. What have we taught them? Here, the toy is everything. Me, I'm of no consequence. We've kept dogs as our best friends. And it's very important we play a role as a reward in their lives. We play a role of where they see us as pleasant, see us as playmates, they see us as friends. And this can be very easily achieved. So all I'm going to say again is before you give food or a toy, smile, praise. So say whatever you want, what a good girl you are, whatever. And the touch must be something the dog likes. So you see here, there's different touch that my dog Maya likes. She likes a good back scratch and a rub. She does like her head being petted, so I do a lot of that. But this is the order. Don't give the food and then do the smile, praise, touch. It has to be in this order only. Now, keeping in mind all this body language and touch and all of that, now we come to the whole part about communication. When we communicate with our dogs, this is important to keep in mind. A lot of people, and I would say the simplest communication we get wrong is the no command. A lot of people say to me, oh, he doesn't listen when I say no. And I say, how do you say no? So it's very important that you get it right in this way. And for this, I'm going to start my screen again so you can see. All right. So here's what you're going to see. When you want to say yes to the dog, your face is pleasant, your shoulders are pleasant, and your hands. So it would be, what a good girl you are. That's such a good girl. Okay. That's your yes. When you want to say no to the dog, watch, my whole body language will change. My shoulders become stiff, my face gets a frown, and my tone of voice will be a slightly tighter one. So it'll be no, back. You saw absolute opposite extremes. That is what a dog understands. You see, when we communicate with them, it's not just what we say or just how we say it. They look at the full picture, which is our body language. Most people, when they say no, they do it this way. No, Baba, what are you doing? I said no, bad dog, naughty, 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 naughty. So see how much of conflicting body language I've got going on. So what is the dog going to understand? He's going to say, I don't know what she's saying. Is she saying yes? Is she saying no? I can't understand. So if your dog doesn't get the no command, then it's because you haven't communicated it clearly to the dog. So take a look at this video. Let's watch this now and see what's happening here. Right? This lady, I think, is trying to pray, and this puppy has different ideas for her altogether. She's pulling on her sari and troubling her. And you can see she is saying no to the dog. But look at the way she's saying no. She is laughing. So her whole body language is very jovial and relaxed. She's trying to ignore the behavior, which again, remember, by doing nothing, it's kind of like accepting it. Okay. Now she's even given a small whack, not that the dog even felt it. So again, you see how ineffective the communication is. So, people tell me, oh, my dog doesn't listen. Oh, my dog is a dumb dog. No, dogs are not dumb. How we've communicated is wrong. And that's why, see, this dog's not understood she's saying no. At any point, he's not understood. Now, of course, she's just physically like a lion tamer trying to keep him away. But has he understood? No, because he's biting the stool as well. And that is important. If your dog doesn't listen to your no command, it's because you haven't communicated it correctly. And remember, don't become louder. Dogs are not deaf. So don't keep going, no, 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 don't do that. What you should do instead is your tone, your facial expression, and your body. That's what changes it. So take a look at this next clip, right? This is a little beagle. And one of the main problems this beagle had when they came to me first was that she would steal food. And if anybody said no to her, she wouldn't listen. She just would not listen. So watch what I'm going to do. I'll play the video a couple of times. You'll see the body language that she finally understands. Okay. So actually, I wasn't even prepared that she was going to take something. I was trying to talk. We were shooting something, and see what happens next.
If I've got the no, no bugs, no, no.
See the no? See the way I said it. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't shouting. My whole body language was tight. I've frozen the video here so you can see it. You can see it's not a relaxed, jovial thing. She kind of gets the message that the no means a no. And here is the important thing you'll have to keep in mind. It doesn't have to be harsh. You don't really have to hit a dog or whack a dog or fling newspapers or sticks. No, you just need to be good at communication. I'll tell you this. The people who are good at communicating make really good dog trainers. So all these years, I've run now courses for 20 years, whether it's for pet parents, whether it's for people who want to do this professionally. And I'll tell you one thing, the best of the best are very good at showing body language. They are good at communicating. They're good at emoting. And that is exactly what a dog really likes. So, when people come for my courses, one of the first things I'll teach them is how to communicate clearly. Make sure what you're saying to the dog is clearly understood. And my job as a teacher on these courses is to bridge that gap. I bridge that gap for people. I say, look, this is what you're doing wrong. Now change it. This is what you have to do. And often when people change it, and I'll tell you what, it takes seconds, if not I would say maximum minutes to change how you're saying it. And the students then on the courses are just amazed. They're surprised and they, oh my God, 2 minutes ago the dog didn't listen. Now she's listening to me. And I say, yes, the dog didn't listen because the dog couldn't understand what you were saying. So be very clear with what you are saying. And what I would suggest is, maybe if you don't get it, make a video of yourself, send it to a friend and say, what does it look like I'm doing here? And if your friend says, oh, you're just screaming and shouting, then you know that's what your dog saw. So watch this clip again.
If I've got the... No, no bugs, no, no.
See how easy it is to teach a dog a no command. Now, I know many people will say, oh, this is a beagle. What about working breeds? Well, I've worked with working breeds from Malinois to Dutch Shepherds to, you name it, your Rottweilers, German Shepherds, everything. And I mean, it's even easier with some of them to teach the no command. Much easier sometimes, I'd say. And have we ever needed to use harsh tools? No. In fact, if you ever came for our courses, you see all our methods are reward-based. So if you were ever interested in learning more, what you're going to see in this session today is just like a lighter look at the whole dog training thing. We're just scratching the surface in this masterclass today. But on our courses, we really dive deep into dog training and behavior and understand it better. So keep in mind, when you're saying yes or no to the dog, it's your full body language that must communicate the same thing. It must all be pointing in the same direction. Otherwise, you just have a confused dog doing his own thing then. Okay, now the next thing we're going to look at is this little puppy. And this little puppy, we just had a recent course in Pune where I was teaching people, dog walkers, how to work with dogs. And this little puppy came on the course, and sweetest little dog, but she was a bit mouthy like all puppies. If you've got a puppy that mouths you, so we don't really say that's biting as such, it's that puppy mouthing, playing, bite, that kind of stuff. But here's what we always say. You never allow or encourage that to grow, because it can become a behavior that can really harm you in the long run. So watch how I say no to this dog. Okay, watch again the full body language. Watch how easily the dog understands my communication. Sorry, we'll go back.
Good, good, clever, good, clever, good, clever, good. Clever.
Okay, so here's what you have to keep in mind. You saw it was just a bit of a sharp kind of a tone. But you see at that point, I did not let go of the paw. My body language was a bit tight. And even though the puppy is not looking at me, you can see that the puppy understood my communication. And that's really what it's all about. So watch again.
Good, good, clever, good, clever.
Watch here. While she's being good and allowing me to groom and handle, I will praise the dog, because those are the behaviors I do want. But as soon as she puts her teeth on human skin, I want to tell her that that's not done. And this is what I do next.
Good, clever, good. Clever.
Okay. See how easily a puppy understood. And this puppy, the owner was complaining that this puppy would bark back at her if she tried to say no, would snap at her. All those behaviors had started. Only why? Because we weren't very clear with our communication. So keep in mind, when we work with dogs, you've got to be very clear in your communication with them. Now we're going to look at some basic commands and the simplest ways to teach. Now, I want you to keep in mind, when we train, there are many, many ways to train a dog, many different methods. And I always say there is no right or wrong. As long as you're not harming a dog and you get to the end point and you've done it differently from me, it doesn't mean you are wrong and I'm right, or I'm wrong and you are right. It's just many ways. It's like saying there are hundreds of different ways to cook a biryani, and all biryanis are just as good, right? So that's how we look at dog training. So I'm just going to keep it easy for you and show you one way of doing the training. So one simple way to understand it is how to do the sit command. So let's take a look at it here now. I'm going to play it and talk you through. Whoops, I keep going off today. Right, so all we're going to do, watch. I'm going to pause here. If you were to take food, now visualize this. Take food to your nose and lift your nose upwards and backwards using the food. Just, it's like a lure, right? Take it up and back, and your nose is just following the food. What will happen? You will fall back into a sit. And that's exactly what we're doing here. You see, I've got a treat in my hand and the dog's nose is following. It's very important you don't hold it too high or too low. It's just at the level of the nose. And watch. I take my hand upwards and backwards. And when I do that, naturally the dog will fall into a sit position. See what's happened here. See, I'll play it again for you to see. So watch, take the treat up and back from the nose. So using the treat, move the head up and back. And in a natural way. So this is no effort, no fighting. It's just so easy to do, which is why this remains one of my favoritist methods to teach a sit. And you see, as soon as the dog sits, remember what I've taught you. You smile, you pat, you praise, and then you give the food. Okay, watch again. We're going to do it again. So you get the dog to stand up. Again, watch. Take the head up. Take the head back. And the dog will fall into a sit. It's as easy as that. Now, here's one thing I'm going to, oh, this looks awful. I'm going to pause here to talk to you about. When you're teaching a command, here are some of my secrets. You must do the repetitions quickly. Because it's like I say, you know, that light bulb moment for the dog that goes off. So if you take too long, if you use treats that are too hard, and the dog has to take time to chew, you've lost that moment where the brain is trying to make sense of what you're doing, right? So the dog's brain is saying, okay, we did it once, second time, third time, fourth time. As you repeat quick successions, the dog picks it up better and faster. Try not to keep too long a gap between the repetitions. Okay, so watch again. We praise the dog, reward. I get the dog to stand up again and repeat it immediately again. And see. She gave a paw this time, so that's not what we wanted, but she sat, so we'll get her to stand up again one more time. Head up, head back, and the bum will go down, at which point you reward the dog. It's as easy as that. And that becomes an easy sit command. Now, this is your first step as you start. Couple of, again, tips from me here. Don't say the word sit at this point. Because in case you lift your hand and the dog gives a paw, in case you lift your hand and the dog stands, and then you've said sit at that time, you've connected a very powerful word, which is the sit command, to an unwanted behavior. So only insert the command sit when the dog is actively going into the sit position. So that would be maybe by the second session. So in the first session, I would not add the command. In the second session, when the dog, you know, as soon as I take my hand slightly up and the dog puts the bum down, that's when I'll start inserting the command. So that is the way smart dog trainers put in the commands. Now we're going to look at the down command. Now, there are many ways to do it. I've got two methods here for you. If you are stuck at any point in understanding anything, please put it in the comment box, the chat box, and I will take a look at the chat when we finish our session for today. So take a look at the down.
If he gets up, 2 fingers on the shoulder blades. And again, don't push straight. Good dog. You see, when the dog goes down, he'll go at this angle. So your hand gently. Don't do this to the dog. They'll lock their joints and will.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat what I've said in this demonstration. When we do the down, ideally we like to start from a sit. It's easier for the dog in the early stages. A stand to down position is hard for most dogs to do. So you get the dog, I'll talk to you. You get the dog first into the sit position. Now, remember one thing. When a dog goes into the down, if you watch here, my hand, see the hand, see the angle, the dog slides forward. The dog doesn't go straight down. It's not falling like a stone would fall straight down. The dog moves at an angle. And what you do is take 2 fingers, put it on the dog's shoulder blades. That's where my hand currently is. Put it on the dog's shoulder blades. And as the dog, and your other hand is moving the nose forward and down, your hand on the shoulder blades gives gentle pressure, pulling the dog forward. Okay, see the pressure? It's just with 2 fingers, so it's not really hard. Right, now watch the angle. You do not press straight down. See, this is the angle. Moving forward. If you press straight on the joints like this, like what I'm doing now, the dog's going to lock his joints and resist you. And then you're not going to get the down position. So your 2 hands here have to move in synchronization. The one hand takes the nose down and forward. See, go down, 90-degree down, and move your hand forward. And the second hand on the shoulder blades gives a gentle pressure, moving the dog in the same direction as the first hand is doing. Okay? It's as easy as that. Simple. It really is when you really try it out. And I would urge all of you to try these methods and get back to me, even on social media or email, and tell me how they worked for you. Tell me where you got stuck, and I'm more than happy to guide you forward. Supposing now people say, you know, I've tried this and it doesn't work. There's always some dogs who won't adjust to all methods, right? They will resist you. So you might have a method that works for 30 dogs. And then the 31st dog you are working with says, well, I'm not going to do the down using this method. So we always have to have what we call as plan B and plan C in training. So, and you know, that is actually something I teach the professional dog trainers. When we're working with dogs, if you just have one method up your sleeve, you likely might see at some point that it doesn't work for the dog. If you don't have a backup plan, which I always say is a plan B and a plan C, then you might get stuck. And, you know, interestingly, I see when people get stuck because they don't know enough or don't have enough methods as such of, you know, different ways to train dogs. That's when we become angry, frustrated. That's when we maybe even resort to tools or that might harm the dog or smack the dog and think like, okay, he must listen. This is the method and he must do it. No, you've got to be able to pivot. So on our courses, when people join, they are forced to learn many different methods. Because I say, you've got to remember the day will come when the dog will not listen to method number 1. You can't just stand there and shout at the dog. You've got to have method number 2. Method number 2 doesn't work. You've got to have method number 3. At least out of 3 to 4, something will hit home and will work for that dog. And that then can avoid situations where you get frustrated, the dog gets scared of you, the dog gets upset, you get upset. You don't really want that. That's not good dog training. So this was one way. I'm going to show it one more time before we move to the next.
If he gets up, 2 fingers on the shoulder blades. And again, don't push straight. Good dog. You see when the dog goes down, he'll go at this angle. So your hand gently. Don't do this to the dog. They'll lock their joints and will.
Okay, got that? Now, if that method doesn't work, second method to teach it down. Sit on the ground in the position that you're seeing me in, right? So sit with your knees raised on the ground and take a treat. So these are all motivated by food training methods, right? And most of you, I know at this point, are going to say, no, mustn't use food in training, dog won't listen otherwise. I'm going to teach you that secret. Okay, wait for some more time. I'm coming to that. So here's all I'm going to do. Watch. I'll play the first video, see it, and then I'll run through it again. Put your hand under your legs and entice the dog to follow. Now, what will happen as the dog comes? The only way he can come is by sliding into the down position, at which point you can see, I reward the dog. So get him to come under your legs. You can even do this under a chair, under a low table or a stool. Just make sure that the chair, table, or stool don't fall on the dog. Okay, so be very careful of safety when you're doing training. But it's as simple. So watch again. I don't take my hand from the same side that the dog is in. I take my hand from the other side. So you see, I get him interested in the treat. And then quickly, while he's yet focused on me, slide my hand underneath. If you were to do it the other way, you'd find your hand can't go through, right? I mean, it's just your hand will get stuck in your legs. So that's not going to work. So here we're demonstrating it again. Same thing, different course. So these are courses, like I said, where I teach dog training to people. And if you are interested in going more into depth on these topics, learning about the methods, understanding it more, whether it's for your own dog or to do it professionally, then do reach out to me later and I can guide you. We've got some various different courses coming up. I'm even planning maybe an online dog training course for people who cannot make it physically to my courses. If you are interested in learning it online, you must put it in the comment box now. Say yes, online dog training. And if I get enough people, I'll actually sit and put together a course for all of you who want to learn dog training online. And of course, in these courses, we go much more into depth on these methods. We understand why we do it. You understand how this works well for dogs. And you know, one of the main secrets of mine is whenever I'm working with rescue dogs, traumatized dogs, dogs that have had a bad start in life maybe, or going through a bad patch in life, training is what saves them. And I mean, it's really not a secret. I'm happy to share everything with you. These are the few fun things we do with them. And you see with the dog, it's all a game. That's what training has to be. It should not be about come here, sit down. No, it should not be that. It surely should be fun and make everything into a game. And you know what you'll see is, of course, the obedience, of course, will go up, which is a great plus. But you'll also find that your relationship with your dog changes. Now, when these dogs come for our courses, you see they're wagging their tails and they're happy to meet everyone and everyone's happy to meet them. And it's just such a warm and joyful feeling on these courses because that's what dog training can do for you. It can just change everything when it comes to dogs. And you know, a lot of people say training is bad training. I would say, well, then don't use the word training. Say teaching. Teaching is so much fun with dogs. And if you really want a good challenge, you must work with dogs. I mean, they really will make you work and put your brain to the test. It's a lot of fun. So watch this video and see it's the same method. Look, the hand is going below the leg. Think if I had to do it from the other side, my hand would get stuck. It wouldn't be able to come through. I want my hand to be able to come through under my knees all the way across to my right-hand side so that the dog follows.
Here, down, good dog. Okay, as he reaches to get it, he has to go into a down position and that becomes your new down. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Dog training is really all about practicals. So you can see here, I'll try and put in as many videos because I cannot practically demonstrate something here, maybe live on the session. You know, dogs move around. So it's always best to have all my videos ready. And even on our courses, where all courses, of course, I won't use videos. I just show with all the dogs that are present. So let's repeat this. Watch again. As the dog follows through, you see the hand entices the dog's nose goes through. The only way he can get to the treat is by sliding into the down because the legs are in the way. And watch when I say the word down. It is of crucial importance. That timing is very important. Watch.
Dog. Okay, as he reaches to get it, he has down. Good dog.
You see, the word down came just as he went into the down. That's important. I want him to connect doing the down, the act of going down, and the word at the same time. That is how you put in a command. You don't say the command before. You don't say the command after the act. Preferably, you say it at the time of the act, and then the dog connects the dots. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now, teaching your dog to come when called. Now, a lot of people tell me that, you know what, why train your dogs? There is no point in training a dog. Training is cruelty to a dog. Don't impose your will on them. Let them be natural. And all I say is this. If you don't want to train your dog, I feel sorry for your dog, but that's up to you. I can't force you to do it. But all I would ask you to do is train at least 3 things. And those 3 commands are the come. So it's a come command, a no command, and a control command. A control command can be a sit, a down, a stay, any of these. Just these 3 things. That's it. Then if you don't want to do any more training, that's up to you. But these 3 are needed. Why? Because it can give your dog freedom. Untrained dogs cannot go anywhere. They become difficult to handle. They become difficult to control. And then nobody takes them anywhere. So they live their lives just living in a home and then walks on the leash. There's never any freedom for them. They never get to go out with their families, nothing. By teaching your dog some basic training skills, you can give your dog freedom. And the most powerful command for that is the come command. Okay, how do you do it? It's really simple. Most of you must have already taught your dogs to come. All I'm going to say is when your dog does come, remember first smile, pat, and praise, and then use a treat if you want to. So let's take a look at this demonstration. So always when you call, be pleasant. Be pleasant with your dog. Okay? Never ever call your dog and then smack your dog or scold your dog. Always be pleasant. Always reward your dog for coming to you. If you scold your dog is going to stop coming to you. See, I see a lot of people say, come here, and then smack the dog. What were you doing over there? What do you think the dog's going to learn? Remember the 2-second rule. The dog's going to say the act of coming was punished. So I'm not going to come to her at all anymore. And you'll see your recall command getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And that is the one command that gives your dog freedom. Today, I can take my dog to any garden, any park, any beach, any trek, and leave her off leash. I can give her that freedom to be off leash. I can give her that word that all of us desire, right? Freedom. We all want that. We're social animals. We want that. But I would not be able to leave her off leash if I was scared that she wouldn't come back when called. I know I can give her that freedom because if I called her, she would drop whatever she was doing and come when called. So here it's very important that you teach your dog to come. This is one method I've shown you in this video over here. There are many different ways to do a come command. Use whatever method you want. Just remember the basic rules. You must always be pleasant when calling your dog. Reward your dog for coming. If you want to scold your dog for something, go to where your dog is and scold. Don't ever call your dog and then smack your dog or punish your dog. Don't do that. It'll break the trust and your command will also become weaker. Now, we're going to talk about some of you who must be saying, oh, this is all very well. Your dog is well trained. My dog doesn't come when called. I want you to put it in the comment section. How many of your dogs come when called and how many do not come? So either write yes for recall. So write the word recall. Recall means come when called. Say yes, recall, or no recall. So I can understand how many of your dogs are well trained by you. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, it's not even about training. It's just about relationship. The one test I run when I teach my behavior courses, which are more advanced courses, and the test we run when we do consultations to see the relationship between a dog and the owner is the recall test. This has not got to do with love. It's got to do with respect. If your dog does not come when called, he probably does love you, but he does not respect you enough. So you've got to repair that, right? I mean, that's not what we all want with our dogs. So what are some of the reasons? There could be many more, but I've tried to give you a kind of a way to, to start looking at it differently. looking at the problems maybe from my perspective. So this is what I want you to understand. Why would a dog not come when called? What could be reasons you think? Put those in the comment section as well. I want to see what your thoughts are on this. Why would a dog not come when called? I have put 3 reasons here. How many of you can give me even more reasons, even better reasons than I have listed here? Put them in the comment section. I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to read all the comments, everything. I'm going to see everybody's comments. So don't ever feel, oh, I've said something and she's not seen it. I will see them. Okay. So couple of things that we do. First reason why your dog may not come. He doesn't know you're talking to him. Now, see, imagine I'm sitting here. Okay. And now all I'm going to say is this, right? Get up, get up. Who knows who I'm saying get up to, right? Think about it. You don't know who I'm saying get up to, but I have to say your name. If I said a name of a person, I say Shruti, can you get up? Then she knows I'm talking to her. So whenever you give a command to the dog, always first say the dog's name and then give the command. So at least then the dog knows, hey, you're talking to me. Oh, I didn't know you were calling me. So say the dog's name and then give the command. And many a times, we think that we've given our dogs a command and they know it, but they may not know what they're doing. So give that part a thought. Second, and this is the most important thing, I want you all to tell me what you'll do for this. Has there been a consequence for disobeying? Now, when we talk of consequences, it doesn't mean you're like smacking a dog for it. But here's the thing. If I was to call my dog, okay, and she hears me, and she looks at me and she says, I'm not coming today, what would be the correct thing for me to do? What do you think? I want you all to write the answers in the comment section. Guys, can you all please write it in the comments and not on my screen? I think someone is scribbling on the screen, so can you all not do that? Thank you. What do you think I should do if I've called my dog and she purposely disobeys me? What do you think I should do? Here's what most people do. They call, so I'd say, come Maya, Maya, come, Maya, come. And she doesn't come, and I say, all right, forget it. And I get onto my phone, I scroll social media. What do you think the dog has learned? She's learned not coming is fine. Nothing's going to happen if I come or don't come. Why should I bother? Here is what I would do. I would go to her. Remember, I'm not going to get her to come and scold her, but I would go to her and I would give her a bit of a scolding. I'd say, hey, what do you think you're doing? I called you. So I would show her that I'm upset. You heard my tone. Okay. So I would maybe frown and I'd go to her and say, what are you doing? I'm calling you. Don't y'all think that's what y'all would do with others, right? If you called somebody in your family and they didn't come, what would happen? That person would come to you and say, hey, what are you doing? I'm talking to you. Could you please listen? Do the same thing with your dog. So I would do that with her. Then I'd take 3 steps away, smile and call her again. I'd say, listen, you want to now try? Let's try it again. What she's very quickly going to learn is coming will be rewarded. Not coming will result in my family member being unhappy and being maybe crotchety and nagging or whatever they'd like to think of it, and ruining my happiness. So I might as well just go when she calls. It's, really think about it. How have your moms trained you to come when called? That's how you do that. If your mother called you, right, and your mom said, right, come on, dinner's ready, come to the table. And you said, I'm watching TV, I'll come when I want. Then your mother says again a second time, can you come? I've got dinner ready. And you ignore her. I want to know, and I want all of you to tell me this, whether y'all are moms yourselves, so what y'all would do with your kids. If y'all are young and you're living with your parents, then tell me what your moms would do. What would your mother do if she called you to dinner and you ignored her? And for those of you who don't have kids, then what would happen maybe if a spouse called you? What if your wife called you to dinner and you ignored her and you kept watching TV? What would she do? If you really think about it, there'd be a consequence. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I love hearing about these situations. What do you think would happen? I know what my mom would have done. She'd have said, what do you think you're doing? Come here now or the food's gone. There would be a consequence. right? Consequences don't always mean we smack a dog, hit the dog, punish, lock up in the balcony. No. A consequence just simply could be that by disobeying me, you'll see that I'm upset. And because we have a relationship, me and my dog, she won't want to see that. She'll find that unpleasant. And to avoid the unpleasantness, she will change her behavior. So keep in mind, guys, don't let your dogs just get away all the time with disobedience. It just fosters more disobedience. So don't do that. Third thing, and this is the secret we're coming to next. If you bribed your dog, so your dog doesn't really come to you because you'll have a relationship or a friendship. Your dog's coming because you've got chicken, you've got cheese. And these dogs will first look, what have you got? What have you got? They look at your hand. And if they see there's something interesting, they'll come. If they see you've got nothing, they're not going to come. And who taught them that? We did. Remember what I taught you at the beginning of this class. Your food is not the ultimate reward. It should lead to you. You are the ultimate reward. And if you've got that wrong, then you will be one of those thousands of pet parents who will say, oh, my dog will only come if I have something in my hand, if I bribe her to come. And that's why we've gone wrong. We've bribed the dog for too long. So what can we do about that? How and what can we do to train with food? Remember, I showed you the early steps of dog training, right? The first steps of how we train using food. Now, how do we progress further? So watch the video and then I will run it through with you again. This is the secret. So guys, pay close attention to this video. This is the secret of how we do training and how we move from fixed rewards to teaching the dog a very important concept. Remember, all we've taught the dog up to now is this. Only if you see food in my hand are you going to get it. If I don't have food, you're not going to get it. And then the dog has learned that. If you see food, you follow the command. If you don't see food, don't listen to her. Because there's no reward, no point doing it. Watch this video. This is what, and this is actually what I teach, one of the secrets I teach on my courses. So if you were to join, this is something you...
So here's what I'm going to do. He knows he's sick. We've done the bribe. I've got about 3-4 treats. I've kept 2-3 in my back pocket. Okay, so I'm going to show it. Loki, sit. Good dog. Remember, smile, praise, gives a treat. Again, get him up. Loki, sit. I'm going to let him up. Do this 3-4 times. Now let him see your hands are empty. It's all gone. Okay? Up. Come here. Loki, come on. Now he knows there's nothing. So watch, but you must do it in this order. Up, up, come on up. Ready? Loki. Sit. Sit. You might need to persuade. Good dog. What a good dog. And produce it out of thin air. What you want now to get the dog to understand is I won't see it on her, but I will trust that I will get it from her. Okay? Loki. Here. Sit. Loki. Sit. Good dog. Good dog. Look what I have. It can be anywhere, on a counter, in your pocket, anywhere. But what I want him to understand is this. You won't be bribed anymore. You won't be seeing it anymore. But you trust me and do it and I will give it to you. Now I know you've figured out where it is. That.
All right. Did you all get that? That is how we move. And this is the important lesson you want the dog to learn. The exact opposite of what we have been currently teaching our dogs. What we've taught our dogs is if you see food in my hand, you will get it. I now want to teach the dog this. You will not see food in my hand, but trust me. Do what I'm asking of you and I will give it to you. But you will no longer see it. So I move to a stage in training where I'm no longer advertising the food to the dog, but the dog works through trust. And the secrets and the smart way of doing it are all in this video, where you do it on quick repetition. You first do 3 to 4 repetitions where you show the food to the dog. So the brain rolls into that pattern. Then your hands have no food and you ask for the behavior. So I'm going to run it through and I'm going to talk you through it. So first couple of repetitions we've already done where we show the dog a treat. Look, so the dog knows there's food. It does the behavior, the sit, gets rewarded. Again, gets a second and a third. So do 3 to 4 repetitions of this, okay? If some of you are writing this down, do it in this order. 3 to 4 repetitions. Then what you're going to do is finish what's in your hand and show your empty hands to the dog. So let him now know I don't have anything on me. You can see how he's looking at my hands here. You see, she's not got the food anymore. But the food is with me. It's hidden in my back pocket. All right. Now, when I ask the dog now to do a sit, he may not do it that easily because he knows I've got nothing. But here's the secret. Because I did 3-4 reps, it'll be easier for him to do the sit if I hadn't practiced those earlier. Right? So what? So get him up a bit, get him to stand up. Ask him for a sit. You see he's struggling a bit, saying, why should I do it? There's nothing. And I have to convince him. I have to coax him. So I'm like, go on, do the sit for me. So you might need to put in a little extra effort. And I get him, come on, do the sit. And as soon as he does it, remember the smile, the pat, the praise. And I take out a treat. And you know, when the first time you do it, you'll see the dogs look on their faces like, where did that food come from? Where was it? Where was she hiding it? And that's what I want the dog to start seeing, that you need to trust her. So watch again. This is very early. So you see he's struggling, but as soon as he does it, he gets rewarded for it. And that is the secret of how you move from bribing the dog every time to moving to a point where you tell the dog, look, you just trust me. You do it for me and I will give it to you. Of course, dog training down the road moves to random rewards. It's much more in depth. Like I said today, we're only scratching the surface. For those of you who are really very keen and interested to understand how you'd actually fade out the food, how you'd build a relationship so that you don't need food, the dog prefers you to food, we work on all that on our courses. But for that, I think you just need to come to one of my practical courses. I have a large variety because I know people want various things, so maybe a weekend course. I do have the professional courses, which some of you might find very long and intense and maybe even expensive. So what I've done is from the professional courses, I've taken out just the practicals. And people are now allowed to attend just those for a fraction of the price. It's as simple as that. But because it's more for professionals, I'm only giving this on a limited time offer. So if you are interested and you think this is something you'd enjoy doing, reach out to me ASAP, latest by tomorrow, so I can give you details and I can guide you on this journey. And a lot of people come and do these courses, not just to do it professionally, they want to do it for their own dog. Because this, learning this will change your life, will change your dog's life. You just need to ask my students about that. They will say yes to that. Next thing we're quickly going to look at is the different play that the dog does. Why should we play with our dogs? Well, play is needed for survival. Without play, there is no survival. Even we play, even as adults. So play has different benefits and we use them and we train dogs through them. But when we play games with our dogs, a lot of people say, what games, how to play, all of that. Here is what I'm going to show you. So what are the correct games to play and what are the games you shouldn't play? If you're playing the chasing game, you should allow your dog to chase toys and inanimate objects. Do not encourage the chasing of children, other dogs, cats, cyclists, because those behaviors inevitably grow and get out of control. So discourage all that chasing, encourage chasing in the right direction. It's as simple as that. The next thing, fetching. So teach your dog, of course, to fetch toys. Your dog can fetch household items for you on command. Those are fun games to play. Of course, discourage, and you'll see the wrong list is mostly for attention-seeking issues. So your dog really goes through all that for attention-seeking behaviors. So avoid encouraging fetching the wrong things. Encourage more of the right stuff. Here, what I've done is, because it's just like I said, just a very basic session masterclass today. I've not taught you all of this. It would take a longer time to do that. If any of you want to learn any additional commands, put it in the comment section so I know what you want to learn, and maybe I can do future sessions on those topics for you. But unless I know what you want to learn or where you're stuck, I don't know how to help you. Then my sessions will be more generic like this one is. This is just a start. If you did like today's session, I'm more than happy to do a part 2, part 3, and you all tell me what content you all want for part 2 and part 3 on this. Okay? Next, playing tug. A lot of people say don't play tug with a dog. It brings out aggression. I'm going to say no, that's not true. Tug can be a very powerful game to play. It can be a lot of fun for the dog. Great way to teach impulse control. Great way to build a relationship. Good way to practice a leave command. And it's great exercise for the dog's neck and mouth and shoulders, and in fact, the whole body. But a couple of rules to keep in mind. When you're playing, first make sure you've taught the leave command, then get the dog all excited in the game. I notice a lot of people when playing these games get the dog excited and then struggle to get the dog to leave. Don't do that. The first step is teach the leave, then get the dog excited by playing tug. Right? Keep the tug under control till your dog knows a strong leave command. That's very important. So the correct way should be the dog is happy, the tail is wagging, and the dog is happily leaving on command. The wrong would be your dog gets overexcited, so growling while playing tug is perfectly normal. Remember that. Okay, but a lot of dogs do playful growls. It's very different when the dog is actually growling to compete with you. That is not something I would encourage. Then it's not fun. It's not a game. Stop it immediately. If your dog is using paws to push against you, not letting go, losing control, getting over aroused, then all I'd say is pause the game. Give your dog like a small time to calm himself. Then you can start it again. But don't play a game where your dog gets over aroused, overexcited, out of control, and then starts doing naughty behaviors. Avoid those kind of games. The other game that I must suggest here that you'd never play with a dog is this wrestling game. You know, where you push the dog and he comes and he grabs your hand and you wrestle with him and you pin him down and he jumps on you. I know it seems a lot of fun, especially to young men, but this game can cause problems in the long run. See, what we play with our dogs is what our dogs think you can play with everybody. Tomorrow, if I play this with my dog, I might be able to because I'm an adult, but tomorrow, say a child came to play with her and she plays the same game. The child's going to be scared. So it's not really a good game. It also teaches the dog how hard he can bite you to get a reaction. And, you know, it just riles up dogs, I've noticed. So preferably avoid this game altogether. And a lot of dogs that are touch sensitive don't like it. They don't like being handled like that. So, you know, many people say, come on, let's get him to man up and toughen him up and all. You'll actually be making the dog worse in many cases. So best, this game can be avoided. Next is mouthing, what you saw the little boxer puppy doing. And we don't encourage that because it's teaching the dog it's okay to put your teeth onto human skin. I just say that is one foundational rule that should not be broken. Do not allow a dog to think he can put teeth onto human skin. In the long run, if he was to bite, he'd be far more faster to bite you than a dog that hasn't practiced it as a puppy. So keep that in mind. So these are games we avoid. Now, scenting game, the best game possible for all dogs across all breeds. They all love to use their noses. And it's a great game to reduce stress. It's a great game to exercise their mind and their brain. It's a great game to build their sensory activities. It's just all around a fantastic game. Again, if you don't know how to play scenting games and you want me to teach you maybe 2 to 3 in the next session, put it in the comment section. Guys, if you just write yes, want to learn, I don't know what you want to learn. So you have to specify what, okay? Right, now we're going to come to manners. A lot of people say, what is all this manners and all? Let a dog be a dog. Let him do what he wants. Yeah, you let dogs do what they want, they become spoiled brats. And I'll tell you one thing. Nobody likes that. You can't then take your dog to public places. He'll become like a nuisance, barking at people, jumping on other people. lunging out of elevators. You don't want all that. I tell you what, teaching your dog good manners ensures you can take your dog anywhere and everywhere. Plus, it also ensures people enjoy coming to your home. I know people who say, I don't go to my friend's house, his dog jumps on me. Last time I nearly fell down. I've stopped going to my friend's house. You don't want all that. Teach your dog. So here is my secret for this. Don't wait for your dog to learn what to do on his own in situations. Teach him what you want him to do. So I'm going to teach my dog this. When the doorbell rings, you come and you sit. And then I open the door and you greet the person sitting. See, if I've taught her that, then there's never the chance that she will say, oh, when the doorbell rings, let's go jump on people. No, before she could learn a bad behavior, I taught her the good behavior first and put it in place. So there is no place now for the bad to come into the picture. See, it's far easier to teach the behavior to begin with than to undo a behavior and then reteach a new behavior. It's really, really difficult to do that. So what are some of the manners you need to teach your dogs? You can see the list over here. And I'll tell you one thing, well-mannered dogs are welcome everywhere. Everybody likes having them anywhere, whether they go to office, whether they go to restaurants, whether they go to doggy cafes. Your dog will be welcome if he or she has good manners. And people will enjoy your dog then. So last little bit are some important tips. And I would say the last one is my little secret. First, be consistent. If you practice today and then you don't practice for a week, then you practice 3 days in a row, then you don't practice for a month, I'm sorry, you're not going to see results. You've got to be regular. And when I say regular, I don't mean practice every day for 1 hour. If you see the last point here, less is better. How much do I want you to practice? Maybe 5 minutes per day, 3 times a week? More than enough. I'm happy with that much practice. So actually, overdoing your practice can make things worse. And be patient, right? Dogs are just like children. They need our patience. They're learning, they're trying. They want to make us happy. You have to be patient with them as they learn. And with that, let's see this little video. Again, this is from one of our courses. This one was in our course in Pune, actually. And I would say our next first batch coming up is just 6 days training course in Pune, practicals. And in those 6 days, you'll learn all the practical skills you will really need, whether it's for your own dog or you're already a trainer and you want to improve your skill set. 6 days. So my outstation courses are shorter, and our Pune course is now coming up in September itself. This is from our last Pune course. See the students learn.
Yes!
No, take it. You don't want to do it.
So this video is actually of what not to do. But you know what? On our courses, we're learning. We also want to have fun. And we're not like some strict principles, right? It's okay if the dog makes mistakes. That's what I want you to learn. It's okay if you get it wrong from time to time. It's not that big a deal. We're not some perfectionist army here where you stay sit and the dog must sit. You'll see many times the dog says, I'm not going to do it. And the students will just say, you know what? It's not that big a deal. At the end, remember, these are pet dogs. It's different for working dogs, maybe a different standard. You need a level of perfection. That's different. But these are pet dogs. And that's what I want you to learn. They'll get it right sometimes. They'll get it wrong sometimes. Learn to do what you see in this video. They laughed it off. Mistakes are just that. Laugh them off. Don't get serious. Don't get upset. Don't go in the corner and cry. Don't call up the whole world. Don't buy 20 dog training books to see where you went wrong. Do what you saw in this video. You see, they got it a little wrong.
Yes!
No, take it.
Right. You can see how Shruti went to scold her. You see the one holding the leash, Shruti went immediately to scold her, but you see everybody just laughs it off. And our trainer courses are just about that. A lot of fun, lot of laughter, and a lot of dogs and cuddles and training and learning. It's just I would say one of the best things. I've been now teaching these courses for over 22 years, and I still have a ton of fun every time I teach. It's just so much fun on these courses. And with that, we're going to come to an end